Hi, my name is Adam Chandler and I'm launching the Rice for Britain campaign. This is a campaign to create a new national short grain rice dish for Britain, similar to a paella or risotto, but a British version. The purpose of this is to give everybody the skills and ability to cook this dish at home and to provide a healthy, nutritious meal for their family. Okay, this is aimed primarily at people who don't cook, who don't enjoy cooking. So we need a name for this new dish as well. So I want you to go to my Facebook and my Twitter page and please give me your name suggestions, and at the end of the year we will compile a top 10 or 20 of the best names and you will get the chance to vote for your favourite. I also want you to send me your recipe ideas, and again at the end of the year hopefully we'll have a cookbook and some of your recipes may well be included in the cookbook. So please see my first video, which is a real introduction to this whole campaign and the purpose of it. Anyway, let's get on with recipe number one. Recipe number one, okay, contains chicken thighs, skinless, okay. It contains mushrooms. It contains my two favourite vegetables, which are courgettes and red peppers, okay. I use these a lot in my cooking. Courgettes and red peppers are very colourful, very versatile, very tasty, and red peppers in particular have very high levels of vitamin C, so very good for you. Now, the bedrock of this dish, short grain rice. Okay, short grain rice differs from long grain rice, which is what you will get with your curry, in that it absorbs the liquid or the stock that's in the dish and therefore swells up. Okay. This makes it slightly more satisfying, I feel, and it also absorbs the flavour of the dish as well, okay? So it's an ideal one-pot cooking staple. Now, tomatoes. If I was making an authentic paella, it would ask me to de-seed and chop up finely half a dozen fresh tomatoes, okay? Nobody has time to de-seed a tomato, so a tin of tomatoes, chopped tin tomatoes, perfect. Stock, chicken stock, okay, I'm using a stock cube. You can use a cube, you can use homemade stock, you can use fresh stock. It's entirely up to you, whatever you want to do, okay? But all of these things, look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 ingredients, very simple, very inexpensive. Let's get cooking. So, we start by simply slicing the courgette. Doesn't matter how thin or thick, just needs to be sliced. Okay, courgette, red pepper in half, take out the seeds, okay, chop. Again, okay, now mushrooms. I never slice mushrooms for cooking. For salads, you may want to slice your mushrooms, but for cooking, just quarter them. So much easier, so much quicker. So we heat the oil in a pan. You want the pan fairly hot. In goes the chicken. We're not looking to cook the chicken the whole way through. We're just looking to brown the chicken on the outside. So you want the pan fairly hot. Once the chicken is looking browned all over, we're then going to add the courgettes and the red peppers, all in one go. Nice and easy. Cook the courgettes and the red peppers for a few minutes. You will then begin to see that the courgette becomes slightly transparent and soft. You will then see that the red pepper begins to take on a little bit of colour. Once this has happened, we then want to add our mushrooms. Bang, mushrooms in the pan, nice and easy, cook, cook, cook. Add a little bit more salt, a little bit more seasoning, but just a little bit more, don't go too mad. So, cooking all our vegetables together. Now, the next step, once the mushrooms have been cooking for a few minutes, our next step would be to add the tomato sauce. However, if you wanted to add some garlic at this point, chop up or mash up some garlic, and put some garlic in the pan, this would be the time to do it. Okay, I'm keeping the garlic out, partly because I want to keep this dish very simple, And also partly because my wife is actually intolerant to onion and garlic. She likes it, but it doesn't like her. So there's no onion or garlic in this dish. So at this point we now add the tinned tomatoes. In it goes, mix it all together and let it cook for, again, another 2 or 3 minutes. Okay, so this is all nice and easy. We haven't had to vary the temperature or the heat, haven't had to think about too much. We're just adding ingredients to a pan and frying them off. Now, let me first of all talk about measurements and quantities. One of the beauties of this dish, apart from the fact that it's a one-pan solution, apart from the fact that it's going to be very, very simple, one of the beauties for the people who don't cook is that the measurements and the quantities of the ingredients going into it don't really matter all that much. I know full well that one of the things that sometimes puts people off is getting the measurements correct and the amount of ingredients correct in each dish. Rice is the only thing that you really need to have a rough idea in terms of measurements. Now I know that a lot of people who are not cooks don't even have a set of scales in the kitchen to weigh the rice. But roughly you want 100 grams of rice per adult person. Maybe a little bit less, depends on how many other ingredients are going into the dish. So I bought a 500 gram pack of short grain rice. I'm feeding 2 adults and 2 children, so I probably want about 3/4 of the pack. So that's fairly easy for you to judge, okay? So the rice goes in. We stir it all together so the rice is mixed with the tomatoes, with the courgettes, with the peppers, with the lovely chicken, all nicely mixed up together. At this point we then want to add our stock. So I have half a litre of chicken stock. In it goes. Now look at that. That has been cooking for pretty much 20 minutes. I've stirred it 2 or 3 times, but basically I've just gone off and done other things while it's been cooking on the hob. I checked it after about 15 minutes because most of the stock was evaporating, and I added a little extra water. So let's go over the ingredients one more time. We have skinless chicken thighs, we have a courgette, we have half a red pepper, we have some mushrooms. Again, these are not fixed quantities, just put in as much as you think you're going to eat. We have more or less 400 grams of short grain rice, and we have probably around 600 millilitres of stock and water. Now, we bring this here, we have a final check for seasoning. I found that a lot of people in the UK are a little bit shy of seasoning, and a lot of food tends to be under seasoned because we are quite used to seasoning our food at the table, putting on a bit of salt. Okay, but I want you to get into the habit of seasoning your food before you take it to the table. So we have one final taste. A little bit extra seasoning. Okay. The salt really does bring out the depth of flavours. And particularly because we haven't got any onion or garlic in this dish, we need to really bring out the flavours that are there. Now, very, very important stage this. Do not be tempted to plate this up in the kitchen, to serve it up in the kitchen and take the plates into the dining room. It's very important that you carry this through in the pan, okay? Firstly, because your family is going to have a bit of a wow factor, particularly if you're not a keen cook, you're not used to cooking homemade food very often. If you take this food through to your family, they're going to go, wow, look at that, that looks amazing. But how simple was it? And you want people to help themselves, to share and dig in. The whole point of trying to create this campaign is so that you turn the television off and you sit down as a family to a home-cooked meal that anyone can prepare. Now, another important thing is that you can see there's still some juice, moisture, liquid in this dish. This is the British version to my mind, because if this was a paella, it would be drier. There would be no excess moisture or liquid in the pan at all. If it was a risotto, again, there wouldn't be any liquid in the pan, it would just be very creamy. So to my mind, the British like their sauces and their gravies, so we want to try and keep a little bit of liquid and moisture in the pan. The rice itself, again, it's not like a risotto, it's not gone all creamy because we haven't been stirring it regularly. And again, it's not like a paella because we have stirred it a few times. So this, to my mind, is recipe 1 of the new great British rice dish. Please remember to contact me on Facebook and Twitter. Give me your suggestions for the name of this dish. Send me your recipe ideas. The other thing is that the point of this dish, like I've said before, is not really to teach foodies anything new. It's about teaching people who don't cook, not interested in cooking, how to prepare a healthy, simple meal. So I'm going to be taking this show on the road and cooking meals in other people's houses. So if you're not a keen cook and you live in the Brighton, Lewes, Sussex area and you'd like me to come to your home, teach you how to cook a dish like this, to video, to camera, from my website, then please email me. You can find the details on my website and maybe we can shoot this video at your home. Enjoy.